Hello and welcome to another how-to video. My name is Ditech, CTO DVS, and today we're going to take a look at two brand new products from Hikvision. Thank you for everybody who likes, shares, subscribes and comments on our social media platforms. Don't forget, if you've got a smartphone, most of you have, then don't forget to download the DVS app where you'll be notified of any new content, competitions and a whole host of new functions and features that are coming to the app very, very soon. So, what are we going to look at today? So, the wonderful people at Hikvision have actually made two new pancake cameras, a lot of you call them, mini domes. So, we have an Acusense camera, so a 2583, let me just put that there so you can see it, 8 megapixel, Generation 2 Acusense with infrared, powered by Darkfighter, fantastic. And we also have a 4 megapixel, I was looking for the label then, ColorVu model. So both of them, mini domes, anti-vandal, IP rated, so they can be fitted inside or outside. And again, they are vandal proof, and they do have ColorVu, which is the white light, or powered by Darkfighter with infrared. Both are very, very good sellers. Very small form factor, which makes them very appealing for discrete installations. And of course, with the high resolution of the 8 megapixel, what a fantastic image. And then we've got the 4 megapixel ColorVu. I presume they will do an 8 megapixel very, very soon. Both of them have the Acusense technology, so the human and the vehicle classification, which vastly helps reduce false alarms from unwanted sources. Very easy to set up. I've chose both of them in 2.8mm lens. These are the best sellers at DVS, probably in the industry. 2.8mm is the safest choice. I'm going to do a separate video on lens selection, so if you're interested on what lens to select for what application, keep an eye out for that, because that'll be an interesting one. But okay, let's take a little look at what they look at inside. I thought I had a key, hang on. I thought I had a key on me to open these, but I don't, so I'll use my trusty screwdriver. So the first one, they come with a mounting plate, so you can actually screw this mounting plate to the surface, whether it's a brick wall, a ceiling, a cladding, whatever that is. Or a lot of people actually fit these on vehicles, believe it or not. There is a vehicle version of this, so if you want this for a vehicle, we do a specific anti-vibration model of this for vehicles, but people do still fit these on vehicles, caravans, etc. as well. So you get the base mounting plate, you get the manual, you get the security Allen key, cloth, fixtures and fittings, etc. The waterproof RJ45 jacket. I can't express how important that is to use that jacket. So, taking the product out the box, it's very, very light. You get the fly lead on it. On the fly lead, you get the PoE power with the waterproof jacket, fits and closes over there. You can power it with 12 volt DC if you don't want to power it with, if it's a standalone operation, you don't want to power it with PoE. They do accept an SD card, so it can be used standalone. And then you have your alarm input and output and your audio input output. Very simple to use. So you've got 3 security screws on the lid comes off, and then you can rotate that bubble. So it is a 3-axis camera, so you can actually get that camera module facing the way you want. The infrared is on the side. Now it's really important because the 2.1 series camera, the infrared is actually inside the dome, and a lot of people find there is issues at night with the infrared glare reflection, especially when there's dirt, water, etc. on the lens. You do get that infrared bleed back. With this model, the infrared is segregated from the camera module, which actually reduces and almost eliminates that infrared issue. So what a fantastic camera if you want a very good nighttime image with the infrared being separate to the main camera body. It really does help. So simply, now Jake might have to cut a bit of this out because this might take a second, but if I take the lid off,
a few moments later.
Okay, so this is the camera assembly inside. You can see all the electronics componentry is fitted inside the camera in that waterproof housing. The infrared assemblies are on the side there, and again segregated from this main camera body that sits in the bubble. Much better design than the previous models. So these 2.5 series have been around for a while. It's a much improved design on this. And again, you can rotate that camera module. There's a little screw by there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. If you untighten that screw, it allows free movement of this camera gimbal. Tighten it back up to secure it in place and stop it moving with heat and cold expansion retraction, because it does happen. It's actually the same. We used to get it on old cameras with a screw-in lens. If you didn't tighten up the little thumb screws during heat, so contraction and heat expansion, the camera would go out of focus. There's a little blast from the past you. So it's really important that when you rack the camera up, you tighten those screws down. Same with these, make sure you tighten them all up to keep them locked in position. So everything you need is actually fitted within there. Power it up, stick the lid on. The micro SD card goes in there, up to 256 gigabyte. We sell the SD card, so get in contact with us should you need any. Okay, so the next one, which I'm more excited about, so that's the 8 megapixel version in Acusense, powered by Darkfighter. The one I'm really interested in is the ColorVu model. So again, 2.8mm lens, you get the back plate in there, manual, all the fixtures and fittings, waterproof gland, etc. Make a mess, I'll clean it up after. Again, same principle, so same housing, same fly lead. So you've got your PoE, 12 volt DC, audio input output, alarm input output, and again, instead of infrared, we have the white light on the side. So if you're a ColorVu fan, not only does ColorVu give you the best image day and night, you've also got the ability to give you an enhanced image at night, full color, with that white light. What I'm going to do is, I've got an older model here. We're going to take this off. So it's a 3D printed rain cover. So if you guys fancy that, let me know, because we can actually get some of them made up. This camera here, I'm going to replace it with this one. So it's an older 2545 model, so it's the older 4 megapixel generation, powered by Darkfighter. We're going to replace it with a ColorVu 4 megapixel and see how this white light performs. I'm very interested in this. So I'm going to take this one down, swap it over, and give me, I don't know, a couple of minutes and we'll be back on the web browser. So stay tuned. Okay, so we've got the camera fitted now. You can see this is the full model number. If you want to Google that, you can. It's on the latest firmware as of today, but it's always really important that you make sure you are on the latest firmware. Okay, so standard functions of a Hikvision web browser. So VCA resource, default smart event, which is your line cross and intrusion detection. I can change it to face capture mode. If I do that and reboot it, you will lose the VCA function, but it will turn into a face capture camera and output it to a face rec NVR in the most appropriate and efficient way. Or I can change it to monitoring. I lose the VCA and face capture, camera will reboot, but I have the rotate image function. So it is entirely up to you what you set it as. Maintenance, reboot default, firmware upgrade, enable auto maintenance is a function of all new cameras now. I can put a time and a date in there, tick that, and the camera will reboot at that time and date. Can fix quite a few issues in the background with third-party systems. Security, fill that in to your heart's content. User management, again, setting up additional users. Network, standard functionality, and we do support HiConnect and ISUP. So HiConnect and ISUP. ISUP is our back-end connection protocol for Hike Central. So I can enable ISUP and add it directly to Hike Central. HiConnect is our app. Everyone knows what HiConnect is. I can add it directly to the app if I choose to. Integration protocol, I can enable that. And then enable OnVIF there and set up a user, etc. Network service and alarm server. So video and audio. This is a 4 megapixel camera. I've set it at 4 megapixel real time, 25 frames a second. H.265 standard I use. I don't use the plus. I've mentioned it in other videos. It actually limits some of the functionality of the camera and causes more issues than it fixes, in my opinion. So just set that up. Audio. It's got a microphone built in or a line in. So I can connect a microphone, external microphone into that connector block and then choose line in and then set the input volume, or I can use the default microphone in, set the volume to highest, and it has an environmental noise filter. So if it's a noisy background, you can enable that, which will try to cut down some of that background noise and focus on the voice. And then region of interest and display info on stream. Image, very standard. What we can do here is set preset scenes. So we've got different scenes depending on our application, installation application. Exposure settings, the default is 1/12. It's a ColorVu camera, which is 1/12, large aperture. What you can see sometimes when you fit it internally, this is not really ever prevalent on an external fitment, but sometimes internally where you've got these LED lights, this is a modern building, lots of LED lights, and sometimes the LED lighting can affect the image. You get some of the, you very faintly see some black, like a black static earth line almost, is interference from the LED light. So if I change the exposure to 1/25, especially if it's internally, I don't need that extra low light. The white light will come on, and internally there's generally a lot of light anyway. Externally you don't see this, and you should be able to stop that. So if you ever get this problem with the camera internally, you can adjust the exposure until that black line interference disappears effectively. It's just a case of going through it and matching it to that. I'm going to put it back to 1/12, which is the default. It's not that bad actually. And in fact, I could eliminate that because the LED is shown there and there's a couple right above it. If I tilt the camera down, so it's just above that doorway, that would eliminate that effect altogether. So just the simple act of tilting the camera down, I should be able to eliminate that fact without adjusting the exposure rate. So it's a nice little handy tip for you. Day-night setting is set to auto. I can force it into night mode. If I force it into night mode, the two white lights come on. It's a ColorVu camera, so it stays in color mode, but the white lights will be on. I can force it in day mode, but leave it as default as auto. What I do is adjust the sensitivity to 7, which means this is most sensitive, and therefore, as soon as the light level drops or there's not enough light in the scene, the white light will come on. That's your safety backstop. Adjust it to 7, and you shouldn't have an issue. The filtering time is how long that adjustment takes when it sees the light level change. Smart supplement light, you can leave it on or off. If there's people walking up to the camera, put the smart supplement light on, which means the white light intensity will reduce as an object gets closer to reduce the glare factor. More helpful on a powered by Darkfighter infrared camera, but we have the function on this as well. Supplement light mode, we only have the white light on this one, and you can have auto or manual as the LED adjustment. I put it to manual and made it 100%. So the LED white light is at its strongest. I'll turn the lights off in a minute and you'll see the effect that has. Backlight settings, you've got WDR, HLC, BLC, white balance, etc. All of the normal stuff. Event, you've got motion detection version 2.0. So it's got human and vehicle detection in that algorithm. So you can adjust, you can have motion with vehicle and human detection. Or, I'm going to actually turn that off. I don't use it. What we will do is go to like line crossing, enable line crossing, and again, it's got the Acusense technology, so I can draw a detection area. So anyone walks across this way, either direction, if I can choose which direction. Human or vehicle, sensitivity and target validity is basic. Click save. Again, Acusense up to 4 lines, up to 4 areas. Arming schedule 24/7, adjust as needed. Linkage action. You've got the option for audible warning. So if you have, this doesn't have a built-in speaker, but if you connect an audible speaker to the output, if you connect a speaker to the audio output of the camera, it will produce an audible warning. But it doesn't have a built-in speaker before everyone questions me on this video. And there's the audible alarm output. I can go to here and just basically fill in the details of what I want. And that will go via the audio out of the camera via a connected speaker. We sell external grade speakers. So if it's a Netgenium or a TOA speaker, let us know and we can connect a speaker up to that and still have the LiveGuard active deterrent function. So it's very, very handy, but no built-in speaker. Smart event we've already been through, and storage. Again, all of our IP cameras have the ability for the SD card. Oh, come on. Wait for it to catch up now. So we can SD card in there. And we've got capture schedule, a name in time or time in snapshot or event snapshot. So we can do time lapse via any of our IP cameras with an SD card fitted. So very, very flexible. So what I'm going to do now is go to live view. That should start the video straight away. There we go. Another question I get asked quite a lot is, excuse the state of the room in here. If I go to configuration, how do I get the target boxes around objects in the web browser so you can see if it's working or not? Go to local, go to enable pause rules, click save, go back to live view, and you'll have the VCA line or box plus all of the target boxes around the object as it moves. There we go. So there's the line. As I move through it, it would give you that tracer box. So if I enable this, it has got audio in, I promise you. I need to update the web component. It's on an old web component because I was testing an old NVR. So I'll do that in a minute. What the most important thing on this is showing you the ColorVu ability. So I'm going to walk in the scene now, turn the light off, and see how quickly this white light comes on and the effect it has. So give me a second. Okay, that's not going to work because I've got another camera. I've got a camera with a white light on it. So you can see there, it's a really good test. I've got a camera on this pod, which I forgot about, which has got the white light function. That came on and stopped the other one coming on because the light level was already high enough. So I'm going to turn this off. Okay, let's cover up some of these screens. Okay, let's try this now. There we go. The white light now has come on. Now when I'm looking at it, that is quite bright. I can see the two white lights either side of the camera. When I walk up to it, you can see that white light effect on me. You can clearly see who I am. If I stand here, I'm about 4 meters, 3.5, 4 meters away from the camera now. Really nice view. The white lights are really effective actually on this camera. Welcome. Oh, welcome to you. Welcome. So you can see the effect that white light has gives a nice white light in the middle of the scene and even to the side. So that corner here where my mouse is pointing now, that must be about 6-7 meters away from the camera. So I'll just go and stand in that corner and then you should see, you should still be able to recognize me. Okay. Okay, so that is now. I put the light back on now, so it's the white light has now just gone off on that camera. But that's actually really effective. I'm actually really surprised myself. It's very difficult, making a video content for you guys, you not being here and seeing the effect of this camera. When I was stood here against the wall and looking at that camera, it was very obvious. It was a really nice light source, very bright. And if it was I would be deterred by it, let's say that. So if I was walking around the property, that would draw my attention and deter me because the white light was bright enough, one, for you to get evidence, two, hopefully to deter any activity that you don't want, but also what a great health and safety uplift, because now, especially when it's winter, darker nights, that white light will really help light up the immediate area, like when the paths are wet, there's etc., ice. It can really help you see the floor, the pathway, the drive, whatever it is you're walking across, and hopefully avoid you tripping over and causing yourself an accident. So it's not only just for security, it's also for safety. Other than that, that's all I wanted to show you guys. I'm not going to bother. It's got a built-in microphone. I'm not going to reinstall the web component just to get that to work, but trust me, that does work. Other than that, have a great week, and we'll see you next week for another how-to video. Bye-bye.